January is not just a date on the calendar or the beginning of another routine. It is a moment loaded with spiritual meaning and divine opportunity. It represents a threshold, a doorway between what has been and what is about to be. When a new year opens, it brings with it a fresh atmosphere, a clean slate, and the chance to reset direction. What makes January powerful is not the month itself, but the posture of the heart entering it. The way a person steps into this season often determines the momentum that carries them forward. That is why it cannot be treated casually or approached without intention. Every doorway demands a decision. You either walk through it with purpose or drift through it without awareness. January invites reflection, but more importantly, it demands alignment. It asks a person to examine what they are bringing with them and what they are willing to leave behind. Entering this month without prayer is like starting a journey without a map. Prayer becomes the key that unlocks clarity, direction, and peace. When prayer leads the entrance into January, confusion begins to lose its grip and focus starts to form. This gateway moment is also about authority. At the beginning of a year, words carry unusual weight. What is spoken in faith begins to shape expectation. Declarations made in January have the power to challenge fear, confront doubt, and interrupt cycles that have lasted far too long. When faith-filled words are released early, they act like spiritual markers, claiming territory before resistance even rises. It is not about controlling the future, but about surrendering it intentionally to God rather than reacting to it later. January also exposes priorities. A gateway reveals what truly matters because it forces choice. Time, energy, and attention cannot be scattered if progress is desired. This month sets patterns, how mornings begin, how decisions are made, how challenges are handled. Small disciplines practiced in January often become habits that define the year. When prayer is placed first in this opening season, it quietly trains the heart to seek guidance before action and wisdom before reaction. This gateway is not reserved for the strong or the confident. It is especially meaningful for those who are tired, uncertain, or coming out of difficult seasons. A door does not require strength to open, only willingness. January reassures that failure from the past does not disqualify anyone from what lies ahead. It reminds the soul that survival itself is evidence of purpose. Crossing into a new season means believing that God still has intentions to fulfill and plans to unfold. What makes January sacred is the understanding that beginnings shape endings. Seeds planted early determine harvest later. When faith is planted at the doorway, hope grows steadily through the months ahead. Treating January as a gateway changes the way life is approached, not with anxiety about what might happen, but with confidence that each step is guided. It becomes a declaration that this year will not be accidental, but intentional, prayer-led, and purpose-driven. Entering a new season requires more than turning a page on the calendar. It requires releasing what no longer belongs in the present. Many people step into a new year still carrying the emotional weight, disappointment, and frustration of the previous one. Unresolved pain, unanswered prayers, and lingering regret often follow quietly, influencing decisions and shaping expectations without permission. Letting go of last year's burdens is not denial. It is an act of faith that says the future will not be governed by past wounds. Burdens have a way of disguising themselves as caution or realism. Past failures whisper warnings that sound like wisdom, but they slowly limit courage. When disappointments are held too tightly, they become filters through which every new opportunity is judged. Releasing them means refusing to allow yesterday's outcomes to dictate today's possibilities. It is choosing not to punish the present for what went wrong before. Freedom begins when the heart decides that the past no longer has authority over what God is trying to do now. There are seasons when delays create doubt. Waiting too long for answers can make a person question their worth, their direction, or even their faith. Carrying those questions into a new year can quietly drain expectation. Letting go does not mean pretending the struggle never happened. It means placing it in God's hands rather than keeping it as personal baggage. What is released to Him is no longer something that has to be carried alone. Unforgiveness is one of the heaviest burdens people bring into a new season. It binds the heart to moments that should have ended already. Holding onto offense feels justified, but it quietly robs peace and clarity. Releasing forgiveness is not approval of what was done. It is a declaration that the wound will not control the future. When forgiveness is chosen, emotional space is created for healing, growth, and renewed trust. Fear is another weight that often survives the transition into a new year. Fear of repeating mistakes, fear of loss, fear of disappointment. These fears shape expectations and limit risk. Releasing fear is not about denying reality. It is about choosing faith over anticipation of failure. It is trusting that even if challenges arise, strength and wisdom will meet them. Fear loses its grip when it is confronted rather than carried. Letting go also involves surrendering unrealistic guilt. Many people blame themselves for things that were never fully in their control. Carrying guilt into a new season distorts identity and weakens confidence. Releasing guilt allows the heart to breathe again. It creates room for grace to replace self-judgment and for hope to rise where shame once lived. When old burdens are released, something powerful happens internally. Energy once spent carrying the past becomes available for building the future. Focus sharpens, faith strengthens, the heart becomes lighter and more open to new instruction and direction. Letting go is not loss, it is preparation. It clears the path so the new season can be entered without resistance, distraction, or unnecessary weight. Breakthrough begins with the understanding that stagnation is not a permanent condition. What appears immovable is often waiting for a moment of alignment, a shift in faith, or a declaration that refuses to accept delay as final. Declaring breakthrough is not about denying struggle. It is about refusing to allow struggle to have the final word. When faith speaks, it challenges limitations and confronts patterns that have held progress hostage for too long. The mind is often the first place where breakthrough is needed. Thoughts shaped by fear, doubt, and past disappointment can quietly imprison potential. Mental strongholds form when negative narratives are repeated long enough to feel true. Declaring breakthrough in the mind is choosing to replace destructive patterns with truth. It is recognizing that peace is possible, clarity can return, and hope can be restored. When the mind shifts and perspective changes and new solutions begin to emerge where none were seen before. Breakthrough in finances is not just about increase, it is about order, wisdom, and freedom from anxiety. Financial pressure can distort priorities and create constant stress. Declaring breakthrough in this area means believing for provision while also committing to discipline and stewardship. It is trusting that resources can be multiplied, debts can be reduced, and opportunities can open unexpectedly. Faith in this area challenges scarcity thinking and replaces it with confidence that needs will be met in the right time and way. Health is another area where breakthrough declarations carry power. Physical weakness, ongoing illness, or emotional exhaustion can affect every part of life. Declaring breakthrough does not ignore medical reality. It invites strength, restoration, and endurance into the process. It is believing that the body can respond to care, that energy can return, and that healing, whether immediate or gradual, is possible. Hope itself becomes a form of strength when the body feels fragile. Family and relationships often require breakthrough because they involve deep emotional connections. Miscommunication, distance, and unresolved conflict can create lasting tension. Declaring breakthrough here is choosing reconciliation over resentment and patience over frustration. It is believing that hearts can soften, conversations can change, and unity can be restored. Even when circumstances do not shift immediately, a declaration of breakthrough changes how one responds, creating space for healing rather than escalation. Purpose is often the most delayed area of all. Many feel stuck not because they lack ability, but because they lack direction or confidence. Declaring breakthrough in purpose is believing that clarity will come and that gifts will find expression. It is trusting that timing is intentional and that preparation is happening even in quiet seasons. What feels like delay may actually be development. When breakthrough is declared across every area of life, something begins to move internally before anything changes externally. Faith activates patience, courage, and consistency. Declaring breakthrough is not a single moment. It is a posture that expects movement. It is the decision to believe that what was stuck can shift, what was delayed can accelerate, and what seemed impossible can become attainable. Life is filled with choices, and every choice opens a path that leads somewhere. Many people struggle not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack clarity. Asking for favor, wisdom, and open doors is an acknowledgement that success is not achieved by effort alone. It recognizes the need for guidance that goes beyond human understanding. Favor positions a person where preparation and opportunity meet, while wisdom ensures that what is gained is sustained rather than wasted. Favor is often misunderstood as something random or unfair, but it is better understood as alignment. When favor rests on a life, situations begin to shift in ways that cannot be fully explained. Conversations happen at the right time, help appears unexpectedly, resistance lessens where it once existed. Asking for favor is not about demanding advantage over others. It is about requesting grace to walk into spaces where purpose can be fulfilled. Favor opens access, But character and wisdom determine how that access is handled. Wisdom is the companion of favor. Open doors without wisdom can lead to regret rather than progress. Wisdom provides discernment, the ability to recognize what looks good but is not beneficial. It teaches when to move forward and when to wait. Many mistakes are not the result of bad intentions, but of rushed decisions. Asking for wisdom is an admission that not every opportunity is a blessing and not every delay is a denial. Wisdom protects from distractions that pull focus away from long-term purpose. Open doors are often prayed for, but closed doors are just as important. Some doors appear attractive but lead to compromise, exhaustion, or loss of peace. Asking God to close the wrong doors is an act of trust. It says that fulfillment matters more than immediate gratification. Closed doors prevent wasted seasons and emotional damage that can take years to repair. When a door closes, it does not mean failure, it often means protection. Recognition of opportunity requires sensitivity. Favor may open a door quietly without announcement or applause. Wisdom sharpens awareness so opportunities are not overlooked or misused. Some doors require courage to walk through, especially when fear or self-doubt is present. Others require restraint, even when pride wants to prove capability. Asking for guidance daily keeps the heart aligned and responsive rather than reactive. Wisdom also shapes relationships. Favor may introduce influential connections, but wisdom teaches how to honor them. It guards against manipulation and ego. It encourages listening more than speaking and learning before leading. Relationships formed under wisdom tend to be sustainable, supportive, and growth-oriented rather than transactional. Asking for favor, wisdom, and open doors is ultimately about surrendering control. It is trusting that the path designed is better than the path imagined. It allows God to arrange timing, placement, and connections in ways that effort alone cannot achieve. When favor leads, wisdom guides, and doors open at the right moment, progress becomes purposeful rather than accidental, and movement is marked by peace instead of pressure. Daily strength is essential because life does not pause for preparation. Each day brings its own responsibilities, challenges, and unexpected moments that demand emotional, mental, and spiritual energy. Without renewal, even the strongest individuals can become weary and discouraged. Asking for daily strength is an acknowledgement of human limitation and a recognition that endurance is sustained, not stored. Strength must be replenished continually, just as focus and clarity must be renewed every morning. Strength is not only physical, it is emotional resilience and spiritual stability. Emotional fatigue often shows up as impatience, irritability, or withdrawal. Without awareness, it can damage relationships and decision-making. Daily prayer creates space for reflection and recalibration. It allows the heart to release accumulated stress before it hardens into bitterness. When strength is renewed daily, reactions become measured rather than impulsive, and challenges are met with composure rather than overwhelm. Protection is another daily necessity. Not every threat is visible or immediate. Some dangers come in the form of negative influence, harmful thought patterns, or subtle distractions that slowly pull focus away from what matters most. Asking for protection is not rooted in fear, but in wisdom. It recognizes that life involves spiritual, emotional, and moral vulnerabilities. Daily protection guards the mind from anxiety, the heart from discouragement, and the spirit from deception. Guidance provides direction in moments when choices feel overwhelming or unclear. Many decisions do not come with obvious right or wrong answers. Guidance brings peace in uncertainty and clarity in confusion. Asking for daily guidance keeps the heart sensitive to instruction and correction. It helps identify when to speak and when to remain silent, when to advance and when to wait. Guidance prevents unnecessary detours that waste time and energy. Protection also extends to relationships and environments. The people and spaces encountered each day influence thoughts, habits, and attitudes. Daily prayer invites discernment to recognize what nurtures growth and what drains purpose. It strengthens boundaries and encourages healthy distance from influences that undermine peace or integrity. This kind of protection preserves emotional well-being and spiritual focus. Strength and guidance work together. Strength without direction can lead to wasted effort, while direction without strength can result in frustration. Daily renewal ensures that energy is invested wisely. It builds consistency, which is often more powerful than intensity. Small, faithful steps taken daily produce lasting growth over time. When strength, protection, and guidance are sought every day, life becomes less reactive and more intentional. Challenges are approached with preparation rather than panic. Confidence grows not from control, but from trust. Each day becomes an opportunity to walk with awareness rather than assumption. Daily dependence creates stability, peace, and endurance, allowing progress to continue even when circumstances are uncertain or demanding. Every year follows the direction of what leads it. When prayer and faith are placed at the beginning, they shape the rhythm of everything that follows. What is prioritized early becomes foundational later. Prayer is not meant to be a last response to crisis, but a first response to opportunity and challenge alike. When prayer leads, decisions are filtered through wisdom rather than emotion, and reactions are guided by trust instead of fear. Faith establishes expectation. It determines whether a person approaches life with anticipation or anxiety. When faith sets the tone, obstacles are viewed as temporary rather than permanent. Challenges are seen as part of growth, not evidence of failure. Faith does not eliminate difficulty, but it redefines its meaning. It provides confidence that progress is possible even when conditions are unfavorable. This mindset influences how risks are taken, how setbacks are handled, and how patience is practiced. Obedience is the practical expression of faith. It turns belief into action. Obedience often requires discipline, especially when emotions resist or understanding feels incomplete. Choosing obedience early in the year builds spiritual muscle that strengthens over time. It trains the heart to trust direction even when the outcome is uncertain. Obedience also protects from unnecessary consequences that arise from impulsive or self-driven decisions. When prayer, faith, and obedience work together, momentum begins to form. Momentum is not created by dramatic moments, but by consistent alignment. Small acts of obedience, repeated daily, generate forward movement that becomes noticeable over time. Discipline grows quietly. Focus sharpens, confidence increases, not from achievement alone, but from consistency. This momentum makes it easier to continue moving forward, even when motivation fluctuates. This foundation also shapes resilience. When life presents unexpected challenges, a prayer-led year responds differently. Instead of panic, there is pause. Instead of despair, there is perspective. Faith reminds the heart that setbacks are not setbacks in purpose. Obedience encourages perseverance rather than retreat. This combination creates emotional stability and spiritual endurance. Prayer also creates sensitivity to timing. Not every opportunity should be seized immediately. Faith trusts that waiting can be just as powerful as action. Obedience respects process, understanding that growth often happens in stages. This patience prevents burnout and preserves joy. It allows progress to be sustainable rather than rushed. As prayer, faith, and obedience continue to lead, blessings begin to appear in unexpected ways. Some come as tangible provision, others as peace, clarity, or strengthened relationships. Often the greatest blessings are internal, renewed confidence, healed perspective, and deepened trust. When the year is led intentionally, it becomes purposeful rather than reactive. Each step is taken with awareness, each decision with alignment, and each season with hope.